All right. Doug Ruski is going to be our guest today. Going to talk about a book that he recommended to me called The Comfort Crisis, but more than that, hunter, non-hunter, and balance in our lives. And Doug is a great example of a guy who he's gone through retirement more times than I have. And that's pretty, that's pretty hard to do because he's special. He's a guy who I admire tremendously, and it's all good. It's just one of those, you find these souls in your life, and it's just crazy how life is so interesting and so magical, and why we can't lose sight of potentials, things that we can do together, and helping other people get better. And all of these things, all of these topics are just it's so important to talk about. And, that's why we do talk radio, because if you know me, I'm one of the things I like to do is talk. So, oh gosh, we are recording today in Kimberly, Wisconsin, from our studio in Kimberly. It's, the thing about the studio in Kimberly, it's not as comfortable as the Little House Lansing studio, but it has its absolute benefits. It has its quaintness. It has it's so different. And this is the thing about changing things up, everybody. If we can continue to change things up in our lives and not get so static all the time, that I do believe we grow, we continue to grow. I'm actually reading Peter Attia's new book, and been posting some stuff up on social media about that. And he talks a lot about, well, he's gone down the he's always been the nutritional guy, but he's really into the fitness thing too. And it all comes back to the same old with the four horsemen, as he talks about. And I will do a review on that for sure coming up. And for that book, since I have it on the Kindle WhisperSync, I will be cutting my notes out and putting them up. I'm not quite sure where yet, because I'm not sure how many words it's going to be, and YouTube limits us on how many words we can put up. I can always put a link to my cribbed out notes, and you guys can link from the description, but that'll be over on the RFZ channel. Remember that we have the two channels, this one, the Tom Matt Show channel, and then the At the RFZ, which is pretty much two totally different things. And come October, we're going to figure out, are we going to keep them both? I think we are, because they both serve different purposes. One thing that's really interesting for those of you who like watching the podcast and the recordings that we do, my little exercise clips are very popular. And it's like, right when I think I know what the hell people want, you get like 50 views. And then I put one up today that I just recorded yesterday that was just random. And in about 3 hours, I got 1,500. It's crazy, man. Where's my man Doug at? I see him join my meeting, but I don't see no video. Where you at, Doug? I'm talking to myself here, man. I want to get going. Where's my guy? Are you in here? Something. I don't see you. All right. Pause this thing for a moment. Probably have to cut this out. All right. Now that I have gotten that little, here's the thing with radio and doing this kind of stuff. If you're going to think about doing this, there's always going to be technical things. So you got to just go with the flow. There's my man right there. See, we had two different invites because we had two different dates, and these kinds of things happen all the time. You can't let these things get you flustered, Doug. You need to turn your camera on there, stud. I'm going to teach you how to do some technology, bro. So my, as I said in a little bit ago in the video recording, Doug Rusticky is our guest today. I'm going to call this one Balance, based off of the Comfort Crisis book. And Doug is our hunter, not hunter. This is his 9th visit. 9th. There we go. Wow. Look at you, man. How's it going, brother?
It's going well. How are you, Tom?
Good. Nice to see you. Let me minimize this thing. And no, it's going well. It's going well. I was just I like to do these little intro videos first. Then I've been cutting up all of these chunks. And so I have some that I do intros, like when I did Tim Damon recently. He we had like 1 minute of intro and then a half an hour of post show.
Okay. How is the background? The backdrop looks okay?
Oh, looks great. Looks great. Yeah, it's gonna turn out sweet.
Okay.
So,
And then how's my audio level?
your audio is good.
Okay.
And
And
my
we'll go
sound
with this.
my sound beds have disappeared for some reason, so I probably won't hear my own music, but that's okay. I know what to do. So let's rock it, baby. You ready to go?
Sure.
All right, cool. Cool. All right. Here we go. Last week, Dave Lorenz was here, Mr. Michigan, Mr. Travel, Mr. Everything, Hidden Gems. I think it was like his 30th visit with us. I mean, Dave Lorenz is Dave Lorenz. And so he's awesome. And when we talk about Pure Michigan, we want to just continue to encourage people to get outside and do things and move and just find something. Just find something. My guy today, finding something. Glad I found him. He found me some long time ago. Good friend. Doug Resky will be here. Doug Resky's married, father of 5, got a new grandbaby, at least one for sure. Veronica Opal. He's going to be completing his PhD. Congratulations. Hopefully this year, if not the beginning of next year. These things take a little time as he can attribute and tell us all about. But he's a lifelong learner with an associate degree in computer information systems, bachelor of science in organizational man. Guy's an organizational guru. I mean, if you want to get organized, get a hold of Doug. Okay, he's got an MBA, which means he's smart. Minor in strategic leadership. Imagine that. Currently pursuing his doctorate of education in organizational leadership. Another organizational leadership degree for my man, my brother from another mother. Hunter, non-hunter, man, although we're going to probably deviate a little bit from that today because we're going to talk about balance and why the Comfort Crisis book that Doug recommended to me by Michael Easter is so great and why it's so impactful for all of us. I'm going to turn him loose. He knows what he's doing. He's been on this show before. He knows how to do this. Go ahead, Doug. Welcome back to the show, man. 9th visit. Good to see you.
Well, it's great to see you, Tom. And I just want to say this is our first video that you and I are doing. I'm really glad to see that you have adapted to this digital world that we're in, and you've added this. You've been a longtime radio person, but this is really exciting to see. I know you've been doing it for a while, but this is an example of adapting and generative emergence. So good job.
I love it. Hey, I got to tell you something, a real quick story before we do your family. This is your life. But I created this little YouTube short yesterday and put it up. It dropped last night. And it was just Sandy and I went to the antique mall here in Wisconsin because we're recording from Kimberly, as I said in the video, and saw these 2 really old box TVs and a radio. So I took a 30-second video. That thing has gotten like 1,500 views in like 3 hours. Comments. I mean, one guy commented, "How do you watch a radio?" I mean, it's so hilarious, Doug, but it's interesting because I just put analog across the top and just showed this little quick video of these 2. One was a round screen. The other one was kind of the squarish looking, but they were like 1950s, 1960s. Hilarious. But again, as you're talking about adapted and technologies, I think that your encouragement for me to do video. And then I think the YouTube space is going to be taken over by the olders. And then just like Facebook became kind of, there's too many olders in this area. We're moving over to Instagram kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't really think about it in terms that you described, and I'm sure that those might be the current ways that people describe things. But I just think human beings communicate. They want to be in contact. They like to laugh. They like to love. When they're bored, they like to fidget and look up stuff. And so, I think it's just an evolution of how do we do things. I remember people going into the diner and get some food, and they would look for the newspaper, and whether they were reading the business section or the comic section or the help wanteds, they were just looking for something to occupy their mind, which is really kind of the concept of where we're starting today's show. So how do you want to kick off? I don't know where we're at with time, sir.
Let's do family. Let's do catching up. Tell everybody about you. And we have a lot of new listeners. The podcast has grown tremendously. So please just take it like it's your first visit. Who are you? What do you do? And talk about the fam, especially the grandchildren and your children, but Angela, of course. And so go right ahead, my friend.
Well, Angela actually at this moment is in Juneau, Alaska. So she is traveling. I dropped her off at the airport. She is traveling out to Nunnik, which will be her endpoint destination late this afternoon, provided that the weather holds. And she's headed out there to see my daughter, Denise, and help her actually relocate home. Denise is going to come home. She's been teaching out for about 5 years in the bush of Alaska, and she is coming home. She's going to start teaching here. She's been out there. It's kind of been a challenge, but it's also been a blessing for her. So she's looking to do something new. And so she'll be here. Angela, as I said, is traveling out there to help her move back. She's got a couple of large dogs and some stuff. And so she needs an extra pair of hands. My wife loves to travel. So there we go. Perfect fit.
I mentioned Doug Rescue's our guest today, everybody. We're calling this one Balance based on his recommendation for the book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, which I would encourage everyone to get. But Doug, before we started the radio recording session, I was talking about you have refired more times than I have refired. And now you're talking about Denise refiring and Angela's refired and everybody's refiring. And the refirement zone, the RFZ, you get credit for telling me that acronym had some strength to it. But frankly, it's everywhere. I mean, the refirement zone is all inclusive, but everybody is experiencing some part of it. And you are going through it as well and have gone through it many times. I mean, so talk about that a little bit, if you would, just kind of commenting on that with the family and how they've changed and everything we're always adapting. Like you said, we're always adapting.
Life is a cycle. And I am a parent. I have 5 children. And so, going from being single and then being married and then having children and then watching those children grow up and being their parent while they need you to be their parent, and then training them to be independent young adults, and then watching them start their own families. It's all cycles on cycles on cycles. So you're always in life, there's always change, and there's always things that are emerging and evolving. But sometimes it's just the rate of change. So the easiest thing that we can refer to is 2020 gave everybody a really rapid sort of screen set change or movie act change, like really quickly, we're going to do some things differently. So it made it more apparent. And I think that's some of the takeaways that people have today. We're talking about, you weren't doing video then. You've been doing radio for 20 plus years, but you weren't doing video then. And it's just constantly looking at what is the desired format? How do we reach people? What are they using? What's going to speak to them best? And as a parent, when my children were younger, their questions were simpler. As they got older, they're more complicated, but they're still seeking out their parents and their friends and other people to try to find answers as they're making their way. It's called wayfinding. You're wayfinding in this journey of life.
Love it, man. Love it. Okay. So here's let me reset this thing because we're going to come up on break here in a second. Doug Resige's here. Doug is my friend. He's been with us many, many times. He is our hunter, non-hunter, pretty much expert. We have several others that do these, but Doug is he's our main go-to. This episode, we will talk about Doug's, hunting expeditions and some of the things, but what really we were framing this around and calling this episode Balance is the book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. And Doug turned me on to this book and he said, you really need to check this out. And I had not seen it or heard of it. And I finished it and it's excellent. And it really does talk about a lot of refiring, recreating, adapting, what Doug just said of wayfinding, life as a cycle, all of it. It's all good, baby. It's all good. You're listening to the Tom Matt Show. Doug Resige's my guest. Balance. Love it so much. Yeah, I got no bumper music. That's fine. It's adapting to the tech, man. Adapting to the tech. I get too used to it.
So how will I know when you're going to go live? Or are you just going to give me the nod?
Oh, you'll see. I'll just give you, when we get close, I'll give you one of these if if we get close, but
okay.
Your timing's pretty good. So, let me do my read here and we will rock on. The second segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by our guy and hopefully your guy, Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial Advisor, our Ameriprise Financial Advisor. Again, full disclosure, everybody, we took all of our refirement zone savings, the university and from the hospital for Sandy, and we handed it over to somebody we could trust and somebody who knows how to manage these things, because we got other things to do, like do radio and video and do this media company and whatever else comes along. Craig Stiles takes a lot of pressure off of us and we love him so much. We hope that you can reach out to him, because with the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant. Be brilliant. Couple of numbers coming at you here. 517-483-4893. 517-483-4893. His 800 number is 1-800-528-1355. His email, Craig.Stiles, just like it sounds, at ampf.com. The simplest way, everybody, to reach our sponsors and some of our friends that we put up on our homepage of the TomMattShow.com is go to that website, TomMattShow.com. To the bottom of that homepage, right at the bottom, and you'll find Craig, and Brock. Their banners are first. There's a couple of other of our supporters and our freelancers and people we love and we want to help. So they're there, but for sure, our two guys, and that will take you right to their offices if you want to do it that way, because that's very simple. Craig's offices are located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road. Suite B is in Brilliant, Lansing, Michigan, 48912. Here are some of the stations in and out of the network that have carried us, don't carry us. Who knows? Radio, broadcast radio, syndicated radios. It's crazy, but I'm so grateful to be on any station. So I read them all. WGHN 92.1, of course, on the lakeshore of Lake Michigan and Grand Haven. Love you guys so much. Will Team and Wendy Hart, thank you so much. They're the first ones ever have faith in us to know that we had something. We're niche, we're different, we're a weekend show. It's all good. They gave us a shot. WGIM 1240 AM. Lansing is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, where there are over 40 stations. We're carried on a bunch of those. WGRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids carried us for a long, long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall, WYPV FM 94.5 in Mackinac City, our PBS affiliate at Michigan State University. So proud to say that. Go Green. WKAR AM 870 News Talk. Any stations that I hadn't read your call letters, mentioned you, send us a note, TomMattShow.com to the contact box. You know that our family is talk radio. want to plug Craig again and tell everyone about Desideri Analytics, where that's his proprietary algorithm. And that's what makes him different, where we are making light of weighted decisions. So please keep that in mind. That's why we went there, and we hope that you will give him a shot. At least talk to him. You'll see. We have people call us all the time. What do you think about that Craig guy? Hey, what do you think about that Craig guy? Hey, you know what? Go talk to Craig. He'll help you out. You'll see. You'll see. And lastly, I want to say hi to and thank Steve and Ivy Gruber, the owners of the Michigan Talk Network, for carrying us on their syndicated basis. And lastly, we have our 4 books up on Amazon. Generation Us is the latest and greatest, but the Maximize book is doing well too. And I just sent a few of those to people. It's kind of funny how those things are timeless. You know, Doug Reske is our guest today. Doug, we're going to talk about balance, but it's interesting because Sandy ordered a bunch of the Maximize books, you know, the very first book that we wrote, and I went through it, and it's got so many points. You know how it is when you write things. You're a writer, you're a creator, but these things, you sort of forget what you've written because you've moved on to the next thing. And I found so many good topics in there that it was like, wow, this is halfway decent, you know? So, hey, just want to get your comment on that, man, about just revisiting old ideas and recreating things. Go right ahead.
Well, one, I'm going to tell you, I apologize. I live in a farming area, and I realize there is a farming operation going on. So if there's noise in this video, that's the future farmers of America making food for you to eat at your table. So hopefully I've minimized that with my mic. To answer you specifically on the idea of revisiting, I think it's really important in life to pause and reflect quite frequently, because it's hard to take in and fully learn. It's almost like they say, hey, when you eat your food, sit and digest. You want to take time and let that actually process, and you want to take your takeaways from that. So I don't know. I appreciate you looking back and seeing what you had, rewriting. If you've got some new material or some other things to add to it, certainly write that in there.
Well, I got this advice from this buddy of mine. He said, you know, you really want to do the video stuff. You really, I think you got some talent in the video stuff, and I think you know who I'm talking about. And so we are. And so I made a conscious decision myself, my friend, that it was like, you know what? I need to focus on 2 lanes. I need to focus on radio and the podcast, and I need to focus on the video. And that's where, and you know what, Doug, I appreciate, and Doug was the one who gave me that tip, everybody, if you couldn't tell, read between my lines on all of that. But I appreciate you giving me that advice. And because you're an adjunct faculty now as a almost PhD holder, you've been teaching for quite a while, but again, revisiting and reflecting on your work. If you were to help people understand about going back to school as a non-traditional, you know, I'm so passionate about non-traditional education. Can you talk about that for a second, how that's impacted you? We got a couple of minutes before we go to break here, and I know we digressed a little bit off the topic, but this is really important to discuss. Go right ahead, please.
Well, so to answer your question, I want to start with an observation. And the first observation is, I've been a martial arts instructor for 30 plus years. I read people, I look at people's potential, and I'm outside your skin. So when you're inside your skin, meaning your perception of yourself, sometimes it's hard because of your insecurities and the things that you think about yourself, what you've been told, to understand what you're capable of. And so for me, I've walked around with you in a work environment and seen how dynamic you are and how much natural soft skills and charisma you have. People enjoy talking to you, and you have an excellent way of interacting with people. To me, the video is just allowing some of that to seep through the screen for people. You have it in your voice. Like you always say to people, you can hear when somebody's talking with a smile because of their enthusiasm and the way they say it. But it's another thing when they can look you in the eye, they can see your mannerisms, they can see your expressions, and get just how genuine you are in delivering what you're saying.
You're very kind.
The thing about learning is, the first thing I would say, and this might be in my messages to myself, is don't ever embark on learning something if you don't know what you want to learn. I mean, there is learning for the sake of just trying to figure it out, like channel surfing, but your time is very valuable in life. Understand what you want to get out of a book. or what you're hoping to get out of a class or a course or a longer journey for a degree, and find that. That's what I would say. That's my focus. Think about that and then be very meaningful with your time.
Doug Resicky is our guest today, everybody, on the Tom Matt Show. We're calling this one Balance. When we come back, we're going to really jump into The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. It's got a hunter, non-hunter vibe to it, although it's a lot more than that. So I'm going to pick Doug's brain here. Love talking to this guy, one of the smartest people I've ever known. Again, Tom Matt Show, Doug Resicky, Balance. Beautiful.
Sorry about. I had a semi literally pull in and unload a tractor next to me out behind my property, so I didn't know if you could hear it.
Oh, couldn't hear it. But,
okay.
And Mitch is pretty good about washing that kind of stuff out. So.
And one thing I wanted to tell you is I want to get to the meat of this because we're drifting a little bit, and that's not bad. We're talking good stuff. We just have a lot to talk about. But what I want to do is I want to give you a thought, or I can counter it and I can lead it in. But hunting is just searching, and searching is like you're hunting for something. Everybody's looking for a sense of balance and purpose in their life. That's what I think the heart of this session is about. So I can
right after I do this read, I'm gonna just throw it right to you and let you jump. So here we go. Here we go. You know me, man. It's Digress Tom. I'm everywhere, man. I'm all over it.
But I meant what I said about you. Your visual and your hand gestures and your facial gestures add so much to the process. It really is complimentary to you. The one thing I will say, and this is a feedback, which we can have it later, but one of the things is get your announcements behind your screen so you make more eye contact with people when you're reading them. That will bring another level of delivery to you, because a lot of times you're looking down when you're reading your announcements and you're saying it.
Oh,
put it behind there so that you're looking up. It doesn't mean the whole time that you got to be staring with wide open, but I'm saying you're looking away from your speaker for a lot of your announcements.
Yep.
Which is okay. But I'm just saying, find a way to put that up on a screen behind where you're at so that they can see you.
That's really good feedback. No, and I've noticed that too. And so I'm going to try something right now, just using your suggestion. Here we go. The simplest way to connect with us is via our website, tommattshow.com, where you can find a redesigned, simpler page, YouTube, new presences right there, a couple of big buttons for you to easily find the @RFZ and the Tom Matt Show, because we have the two channels, Facebook, Tom Matt Show, Instagram, Twitter. They're all the same. Our mission is to build an engaged society and team. We want to connect with all of you. So whichever social media is your flavor, whatever you like, please drop us a note. We respond to every message and we want to connect with all of you. So please do. The Refinement Zone is all about community, collaboration, and cooperation. The 3 C's. I just found that in one of my books. I knew that I came up with that a long time ago, but I actually had it in one of my books because I'm rereading one of my books as I was talking about. Community, collaboration, and cooperation. It's the meaning of everything, you guys. The RFZ and the Tom Matt Show channels are working great, and I hope you can go there and check those out. Small little pieces of what we're doing, and I break up the radio program podcast into digestible chunks, and you can go get the whole thing if you'd like, audio and or video. Doug Resicky is with us today. Doug is my friend. He is a very knowledgeable guy. He covers a lot of different categories and topics, calling this one Balance. He's typically our hunter, non-hunter, and we're going to dive into the hunter, non-hunter stuff now, because the Comfort Crisis book is what we framed all of this around. And that's a book that Doug recommended to me by Michael Easter. All right, my man, we've been wandering the road here. Time to get into the nitty gritty for the next couple of segments. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Balance. Your segments, brother. Go ahead.
Well, thinking of what you've been talking about leading up here, you've referenced hunting and you've referenced my skill set for places like what you see behind me, which is a picture of about 12,000 foot up in the mountains, in Colorado. One of my favorite places to watch sunsets when I'm elk hunting. But the how I think this segment ties in and your topic ties in is that hunting, if you're not talking about hunting for animals or things, is just searching. And everyone in life, I think, is searching for happiness, a sense of balance, a well-being. Possibly at this time of the day when we're recording, they might be searching for their lunch or some food, or, so it's a process of looking for something. And then how good are you at observing signs, and where can you read the game trail? The game trail of life is flow. What's happening around you? Are you keyed into that? Are you paying attention? And so really, with this book, what struck me really a lot from the author's comments, a couple things struck me as overarching themes I wanted to share with you. And that is, prior to the last 100 years, or maybe the last 120 years, most of humanity and society has literally had some proportional relationship with struggle and or effort. And I'm gonna use the word effort as opposed to struggle, because struggle always sounds negative, but it just means applying effort. And so the reason that I say that is that as we've gotten into this modern generation, one of the things we've done is we've learned how to commercialize things. A lot of the jobs and the work that people did that might have been agrarian, farming by nature, very industrial, meaning heavy labor intensive, have switched to information, knowledge-based. And so what we're seeing is that people are having different levels of effort that they apply. So I work in information technology right now, as well as being a teacher, a faculty member teaching business. So I don't struggle the way I did when I was working for my dad's company when I was younger. He was a logger, and I worked in the logging industry. It was very labor intensive. But at the end of the day, the question is, do you feel good about what you did? And what we're seeing is that there's a relationship, and I've heard you say this before because you're a personal trainer. If you get up every day and you do, whether you go for a walk, whether you do your stretches, you do activity has a way of finding a sense of mental health and well-being, because you get your blood flowing, you get oxygen in your blood, you get thinking, your brain gets active, whether you go to that morning spin class or that morning yoga class. And that's part of the routine that people use to sort of regulate the other stresses or efforts, challenges that you have in your day, which sometimes can be unplanned. And way back in 2020, when we dealt with the pandemic, and I remember having a conversation, I think it was with Dave DeMarco, where we talked about how the world seemed to have flipped on its head or flipped upside down. And I said, if you go outside and you look, whether it's daytime and the sun's in the sky, or it's nighttime and the moon and the stars are out, they're going to be here tomorrow. So let's just scale back the lens that we're looking at everything and realize that some things may feel like they changed a lot, but what we're really talking about is how much perception of change are we seeing, and then how are we adapting to that to give our life a sense of balance. And I want to pause because it looks like you got something you want to say there.
No, I'm just taking down notes because everything you're saying is so spot on. But I like the term regulate and the perception of change. Everything comes down to the perceptions, Doug. I mean, it's same thing with the comfort crisis, because Michael Easter was talking about kind of an office guy who goes on this month-long trip with a couple of professional hunters, and a month long in Alaska. And it was just all of the physicality and that perception that was in the book of what the heck they had to do, and packing out all that when the guy finally got his animal. And then it's like, because I've never done it, and that I'm that guy who is the non-hunter of this duo here. It just, I find it interesting. So everything you said, different levels of effect and activities, everything adds up. I mean, it's all compounding.
This photo behind me is taken in the mountains in a place that's 18 miles from cement. There's no roads near this particular area. This is the back end of Huntsman's Ridge, which is west of Aspen. It's, south of Glenwood Springs. It's, it's out in the middle of the mountains. And And when I was young, when I first started elk hunting and kind of going through the mountains with my bow, going after elk, Fred Bear actually said at one point, just because you see something with a bow doesn't mean that you're going to have dinner tonight. You can be really hungry. You should be good at fishing and planning your meals otherwise, because bow hunting is hard. And when I first seen this view, which it's hard to see, there's so many mountains behind me in that ridge line, they're not zoomed up. But I thought to myself, when my children get older, I want to take them here, but it's really hard. It's a couple thousand feet of hiking elevation wise. There's no roads, it's all trails. And I had the opportunity in 2019 to stand on this same hill and watch the sunset with my son. And he's like, wow, this is amazing. I said, ironically, before you were born, I'd already dreamt of taking you here, because there will be a time when I can't see this view in my life unless I get a helicopter to take me there, because I won't be able to climb there. And so that's kind of that succession in life where you're looking at your time, you're looking at change. And so for me, that's a special photo behind me, because I know how hard it is to see this particular view. It doesn't mean that you couldn't go on the internet and download one, but I took this photo and I know how hard I had to work to get there. And I appreciated the smell of the flowers in this valley and the grass, and hearing the hawks in the sky. And so the key is that what I was going to say, and I made a little note while you were talking earlier, struggle and or stress or effort are essentially the spices that we use to flavor our lives. All the best memories in your life are related to that in some way. Think of birth. It's beautiful, but any person who's ever had a baby will tell you the hardest thing they did was right before the miracle, and then they forgot about it. So that's my close.
Doug Resige, Balance is the title of today's episode. It's a hunter, non-hunter, kind of, sort of. We go all over the place on this radio program, but Doug is my hunter, non-hunter. He's my hero when it comes to that kind of stuff, and in many other ways as well. I love what you say about the perceptions and the ingredients of your life. We'll talk about that when we come back here. Again, Doug Resige, Balance, Tom Matt Show.
Good stuff.
It's great.
All right, so we got 2 segments left. This is the last one of the main one, and then we got the 5th segment, which is the message to yourself.
And then messages, what's been happening is because messages, the whole, by the time we get into it, takes about half of the segment.
Okay.
It may be 3/4, but then you have time for your recap.
Okay.
So then you want to have your takeaway for, what is today's takeaway from Doug? So just sort of, that's where I'm going to go.
Okay.
Let me just read for my man, Brock.
By the way, your read, you'll notice a difference. I think you're going to find that sweet spot when you practice, but
Yeah.
It was definitely better because you could see your face, and you could then take some of the enthusiasm for your messages because your head was down before and you just couldn't see that visually.
I appreciate that. Now, and I'm all about getting, feedback on that kind of stuff. And I've noticed that myself, and I'm just like, but then I get into the show stuff, and it's like I just kind of go back into
It's all perception, and I'm looking at it saying, how can I help Tom be better at what he does?
Appreciate
And that's
that.
one of them.
Well, that's one of the reasons I told you got to be CEO of our company when we can make money. So, or we make enough money to pay you. Here we go.
I'll always be your friend, CEO, whether or not you can afford to pay me. I want your money to help you and Sandy. I'll always help you. You know that.
Well, our money actually, when we reinvest everything back into the message and the messages that we share, it's the intrinsic reward that I've come to understand, and I embrace it. And it's like, I cannot put there's no dollar figure on it. I mean, it's just, it's all good. And we and we saved so well during our working years that we're really in a sweet spot to do this.
Well,
And
that's fantastic for you guys. I'm really happy.
If the financial freedom comes along to do more, great. That's great. I'm not going to diminish that at all. And I hope it does, but it's, I'm very, very grateful to the university, to people who have helped me and helped me get better. And so that's it. I'm always going to be grateful for that. I carry gratitude in my heart every day. Here we go.
Okay.
Fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock Fletcher. Brock at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Brock is an investor, can either give you that immediate cash offer for your home, which you won't need to because he'll take care of it for you, or he'll help you set a deadline and a price like he did for us. And full disclosure, you guys, you know, Big House Holt, Little House Lansing, Brock, Mike Dedman. What up, Mikey? How are you? Mike was our buyer's agent for Little House Lansing. It's all good. And Brock was our guy because we trust him implicitly so much. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing another interview with him. He is our Reality of Real Estate pro. There's like 14 episodes on our website. Go check those podcasts out. If you've got questions, if you just want to get a vibe for it, you don't really want to reach out to these guys, go listen to their content on the website and look at the podcast. Sell your home without hassles. You want to get a hold of Brock. He helped our former neighbor, Mike, find a number for his house, just like he did with Big House Holt before I even knew him. Before I even knew Brock, what he did to help Sandy and I, because it was a big deal for us to, you know, we had to part with our beautiful forever home that we built. I mean, we built that thing from dirt, and it was a tough deal, but it worked out. And it was thanks to Brock Fletcher. Couple of phone numbers for you. 517-853-6408. 853-6408. His cell phone, his radio in his pocket, 517-303-3262. Now, here's the thing with that. Text him. He will answer. He always answers. He changes his voicemail daily, so you'll know exactly when he'll return calls. Get a hold of him. Tell him you heard it from Tommy. When you say Tommy, because all my radio friends say Tommy, he'll know it was from radio, and you'll get the special Tom Matt Show kind of special treatment, although he treats everybody the same. So, you know, it's all good, but it's a numbers thing, and it really helps all of us understand that his marketing investment with us is coming back to fruition, and we appreciate it because without our sponsors, we can't do this. And so we need sponsors, but we need sponsors that we utilize so that I can honestly, with integrity, tell you how much we love our sponsors. Again, Brock Fletcher, 303-3262, kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Doug Resige's with us, calling this one Balance, based on the book, The Comfort Crisis. Michael Easter. Doug is typically our hunter, non-hunter expert, in amongst many other talents that he has. Doug, you were talking about the flavors and the seasoning and life and all of these really cool things. And I want to get some more takeaway from that book because, you know, it's broke into 5 sections, but I'm going to let you kind of go where you want to go with it because you know the book better than I do. But the one thing that jumped out to me, or there's a couple actually, Carry the Load is part 5 and Feel Hunger was part 3. Now, they're all good, and I'm not sure where you're going to go, but those 2 were very impactful for me. So please go ahead. It's your segment.
Well, I'm going to start with Feel the Hunger. Feel the Hunger to me is the compelling why. Now, I stayed on Isle Royal, which is up in Lake Superior, with my brother for 10 days. You can only carry what's in your backpack. There's no roads. If you're out of the 2 harbors, Rock Harbor is where we went in at. The island is 50 miles long. There's a lot of nothing in between there. So if you forgot something, you get hungry, and your compelling why to get back to the harbor is the dream of maybe buying a chocolate bar or some beef jerky if you didn't pack enough stuff in your backpack. It's not enough for a normal human to probably perish in 10 days, but you get a lot of reflection. Now, we were pretty well equipped, but the point being, in life, there's something that you want. There's something that you desire, whether that desire is just put a name on it, find it. That is your compelling why. That's your hunger. But I want to go back to how we ended the last segment, and we talked about the spice. I said, you know, for me, I think of challenge. Challenge is an opportunity in life. But challenge or struggle, stress, strife, those things are the seasonings for the food or the memories in your life. If you have food that doesn't have any seasoning, it might be a good steak, but it's maybe not going to make your top 10 steaks because of the way it was cooked, and it just might not have had the perfect flavor as it would if the flavors complemented everything else in the meal. So that's how your life is put together. If you stop and pause and think about what we're saying today, think about the most meaningful memories you have. If you could only write 5 down and share them at the end of your life today, what are they? To me, my number one memory is my family. There's the courage that you have to ask a person that you don't know if is going to actually accept to marry you or whatever. So you got to muster courage because you want to spend some time with this person. And then you choose to have a family. As you raise your family, there's nothing easy about being a parent. My hat's off to all the young people out there, all people of all ages who have children. Parenting is a difficult job, and it is a job, it's a mission, it's a passion. And some of us are better at it than others, and we all make mistakes. So the key is that's part of that, carry the load. You got to do the work. The piece of that where I say to reflect is think about what those big memories are. My top 3 or 4 right now that are very obviously related to work, my family. Even though my children have all left the house, I'm involved in their lives. My granddaughter visits with us at least once a week. We keep her overnight so her parents have a night of sanity where maybe she doesn't wake them up, because we know how hard it is to be parents. We're trying to give them a balance and teach them about balance. My education, there's nothing easy about learning. And to me, learning is what allows me to understand or understand things more so that I can relate to people and life and apply those things in my and in life as tools. Learning is a tool. My black belt, I spent 30 plus 40 some years in the martial arts. It tens of thousands of hours to master the physical and mental aspects of the martial arts and music. Those are all important things to me. I spend a lot of time playing and practicing to have the aptitude to make the sounds I want. And then I have to spend time practicing or else I lose that gift or that ability. So those are the things that I find really important. Ironically, hunting and fishing didn't come up in that list. Those are just part of me. But the real thing that I want to get to here is that your mind is the one thing that's going to stay with you for your entire life. And your mind is a tool, but it also makes use of all those other things. And the key is to learn how to exercise it and master your sense of perception, keeping an open mind, thinking critically. And the big thing that this book pointed out is don't be afraid of challenge. If your potential is this big, but your comfort zone is this big, you haven't even gotten out of your comfort zone far enough to start to reach your potential. And that's where I think the real message today is we're going through a lot of change. Businesses are different. People are different. You're interfacing. Some people are working remotely. You got to find, how does that give you the ability to expand and grow and live vibrantly? I think some people are having better quality of work by working from home. They're spending more time with their children. They have easier access for whatever they want to do after. We're not polluting the air by driving somewhere just because that's what we used to do. So all those things make sense. But you got to find a way to walk away from that. And one of the things I told my team during the time when we were all working remote is I changed my shirt and I wore a different outfit. So when I was working, it was very clear I was working. And when I was in the same house, I took off that uniform, or it was just a different shirt, but that was my character change. I'm now backstage. I'm not front of the house. I can let my guard down. And you got to find a way to do that in your life. Because when you wear a lot of hats or you're involved in a lot of things, you may not be sure when you're going from acting role to acting role, but you still feel like you're front of the house. And that's the piece of what I want to say, the balance and the wellness that everybody needs to find today is, when can you sit back? I mean, I hear it from you, Tom, when you go to see your grandkids in Wisconsin, that's some of your favorite time. You and Sandy tell me stories, and you can just see the joy you have of being there. And that is your time. And so everybody's got to find that. It may be reading a book, maybe listening to music, but find that time. And how do you reflect and make those memories for your life?
Doug Resicki is our guest today, everybody. We're calling this one Balance. It's a hunter, not hunter, with very little hunting, but that's okay because it's all part of who Doug is and why he's valuable to us as a guest, as a resource, because he brings a lot of very very astute beliefs to the programming. And I really enjoy listening to him talk. Enclosed cognition is what he was just talking about. Comfort zone. The refirement zone is all about what Doug was just talking about. The refirement zone, when we come back from break, we're going to talk about the 5th segment special. Stick around. Messages to my younger self with Doug Resige, Tom Matt Show. We'll be right back. Cool.
I love it.
All right. And here is my propped up read, so I don't have to look down.
By the way, it makes a difference. You're going to see when you review this video,
I know.
you're going to find a sweet spot, whether you have it on another screen or like some, I don't know, but you're going to find that and you're going to see, where do I want to look? It's almost like, and the thing is, you don't want to be just staring like this. That almost looks freaky. So like looking to the side and talking, or looking over here, it seems more natural. So maybe you'll put some over there and some over here, so it doesn't look like you're reading a teleprompter.
Well, here is, this studio is a little bit different, but that's the whole thing about the studio and doing things. And as I was saying before you came on for the recording session, the Zoom recording session, that having change is good for me because it keeps me sharp. And with the technology, the way it works here and the way it works in Lansing, it's different. It's the same, very similar, but I have little issues here that I don't have there and so forth. So it's all good. Here we go.
Yeah.
5th segment. If you're a nonprofit, school, church, or youth group and want to spice up a gig with some talent, go to our website, tommattshow.com, that we mentioned earlier. There's a contact box there. You guys will find it. Pretty easy. Go there. We are accepting applications for pro bono speaking engagements, which means they're free. Okay. Now, if you want to pay us, that's fine and dandy. That's all good. But basically this PSA, public service announcement, is really for youth groups, church groups, schools, anybody that's trying to raise some money, because today everything revolves around finances, and you've got to have the funding to be able to pull together whatever you're trying to do at your event, at your organization. We want to help you. I can bring in people like a Craig Stiles or a Brock Fletcher or a Doug Resige or some of our remote guests. I can do the best I can. I will facilitate and bring in these talented people who can just share stories and make your gig better. So go to our website, tommattshow.com, and just let us know what your gig is, and we'll be there to help you out. Doug, how would you like people to contact you before we jump into our messages segment here, messages to our younger self? How would you like people to connect with you? What phone number, email, whatever you'd like? Go right ahead, please.
I would just say contact the links you have on your site, Tom. You're a great facilitator of that. And if they're looking for me and they look for any version of what you normally would call me and or search, you'll probably find either karate version of me or hunting, fishing. So if you look for me, I'm out there. I mean, I have all the normal pages, but the easiest way is come back to your show and click the message there and you guys can reach me.
Okay, that's a great way of doing that. Again, thank you for saying that on our recaps. And I always do a pretty extensive recap on, well, Mitch helps as well. But we put recaps up there so that you can find. We want to make this whole experience that you guys are going through. I appreciate, and as Doug does, as all of our guests do, I appreciate all of the fans of the show, the listeners, the viewers now that we have our video going. I am so grateful to all of you for just sending me notes and let me know what you need, because that's what we're here for. We're here to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to continue to do it. And we'll be starting our season 13 here in a few months. So it's kind of hard to believe. The reason that we can start a season 13 is we keep adapting, as Doug said. And speaking of adapting, segue into our messages to our younger selves become quite popular. Our guests do these now. I throw them up occasionally now. Now that I do my dad talk, my hashtag dad talk on the RFZ channel, I do more of those now. I like our guests' perspective because everyone's new and unique and super cool. And I can't wait to hear what he'd like to say to his younger self. And again, Doug, this is framed up in a way that we're sharing knowledge with younger people. What would you like to share with younger people to avoid some of the perhaps missteps that you had in your life? Go right ahead, please.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is what I tell every beginning karate class. If you came to this class and you don't think you're going to make a mistake, you're in the wrong class, because there's no way to do something that you've never done perfectly. So get rid of that fear. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. But what I will say is learn from them. And the biggest place to learn from, on this hand, I've got a scar from a ball saw knife that I opened and it cut me to the bone. I've got scars from martial arts tournaments. I got scars from other things, but I don't necessarily want to start with scars. But the scars that are hard to see and that are almost impossible to erase are the ones that happen up here in your brain. So I'm going to go back to your mind and how powerful it is as a tool, and everyone's competing for your mind and your thoughts right now. We've gone from having a single TV show for newscasting where one person talked to having a screen with background images and teleprompters, and you're getting text messages at the same time. And you could be getting 5 or 6 different input feeds at the same time. Not bad, but be aware how much competition for your mind that is. What I will say, my true message to myself is going to think a little bit like Walt Disney. Walt Disney created the idea of an Imagineer because he said he wanted engineers, but engineers are somewhat confined to the normal rule of engineering of what we've done. He wanted people that could imagine things we hadn't done and figure out how to build them. That's what I would tell you to do with your life. The future's not scripted. You can dream about anything that you want to do, and if you're willing to put in enough work, chances are you probably can accomplish it, or some variation of it. Like they say, if you shoot for the moon and you miss, you still are in the stars. So you gotta think about that. And I, as my younger self, was afraid of failing and looking bad in front of people. And certain activities kind of taught me to let go of that a lot. But you've got to have your strongest trust circle until you get in a permanent lifetime relationship has to be with yourself. Protect your heart with chainmail and plate mail. Make it invincible in the sense that if you fail, I'm learning. Change your mindset about how you're learning. Don't consider that because I wasn't successful on my first attempt, I should never try it. And that's where the book really talks about the comfort crisis. Some people have been insulated from challenge enough that when you have some challenge, you want to pull in. I'm used to playing sports. When I was younger, there were winners and losers. And sometimes the winners told you how bad they beat you. That was unsportsmanlike, but it hardened me in a way that today I'm like, when I'm in martial arts, I give feedback to my students, because if I don't as an instructor, I'm not helping them learn. But some people aren't dealing with feedback as well. So we have to think about that. So that's my message. Protect your heart and understand your mind is your strongest tool, because as your body fails you, as you get older and in the higher levels of martial arts, beyond the 5th degree, your higher levels are mental and what you've accomplished more than they are that you're going to become more youthful. If you stay in it for life, it's a lifetime activity. But your understanding and how you can give knowledge, how you can share wisdom, how you can train, build sustainable systems. My goal in almost everything I do is to build sustainability for my children, for my family, for my property, for the things that I do, so that when I'm no longer here, if I was wise about how I did my activities, those things will be easier for other people to take care of, or effortless in some ways. And so that's the wisdom that comes with making a lot of mistakes. I would say dream big.
You said sustainable. You said fear, Imagineer. You brought Walt Disney in there.
Yeah.
Scars, physical and mental. Dude, that might be the best messages. That might be the best messages we've ever had. So thank you for that one. That was awesome. That's why we do these things, Doug, because it's like the sharing and helping others know that we've been down this road. And yeah, where our bodies may be getting a little bit more, we're growing older. That's part of the deal, but it's the wisdom and it's the sharing and being okay with it and not being so worried about all of these things that are out of our control. It's like, it's so great. Okay. I need your takeaway because we're going to come up on the close of the show here. And I want your takeaway, Doug. Doug Resegui's been our guest today. Balance. Base this around the book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. I highly encourage it. 5-star review from me. Doug, what would you like to leave the listeners with for your 9th visit to the show?
Well, I'm going to go back to your original message. This is a hunter non-hunter show. I've hunted for thousands of hours in my life. I didn't end up with thousands of animals. What I found is that I've had pictures like the one behind me, and my journey of searching, which your journey of searching for what it is that compels you in life, hopefully gives you an incredible journey with beautiful scenery and wonderful memories. Whether or not you end up with the prize or the trophy at the end, it's the journey that counts. So live it wisely and do it every day and every minute of every day.
Doug Resegui, my man. Doug, we got a minute and a half, 2 minutes to go here. And I just want a quick, a Doug-ism on higher education and non-traditional education. Just give everybody a quick recap on if they're thinking about, if they're on the fence, please, what would you like to share with people in a snapshot?
I think everybody should learn. And one of the things I said yesterday, somebody asked me whether they should take up a degree program. I said, it depends. What do you want to do with it? What do you need to learn? Today, you can learn a lot from YouTube. You can learn a lot from content. Do you need a degree? It depends on what you want to accomplish. So the key is figure out what you want to learn and then find the resources and use the content and availability to get that information so you can do it and then learn from it.
Doug Resegui's been with me. Angela will be back when?
She'll be back next week, so in about 7 days, provided the weather's good. Last time we were there, we were stuck for a week and we had to hire a plane, charter us out that could fly in the fog. So it just really depends on the weather. So far it looks good, but they're on the Bering Sea, so it can change in hours and then she might be stuck.
Where is Denise going to be teaching? We never talked about that in the first segment.
She will be in Michigan in the Lansing area. I'm not going to disclose more, but she'll be in the Lansing area.
Great. Excellent. So you have the family kind of sort of back together, see how this works out. And I was really surprised when you said, and this is the thing, everybody, about life and how quickly things occur. Sandy went and saw one of our neighbors behind us here in Wisconsin, Doug, and they had a baby. And she said, the baby's 2 years old now. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so when you said Denise has been gone for 5 years, I was like, you got to be kidding. Man.
And she's one of the reasons she's coming back is she wants to be an aunt to her sister's child. And she doesn't want to come back and realize she's 3 or 4 years old because time goes quickly.
That's so important to keep in mind. I think that's vital, totally vital. All right. I'm going to wrap this bad boy, everybody.
The last thing I was going to tell you, Tom, is that in life, it takes courage, patience, diligence, love, and intentional relationships. The most important things that you have, your family relationships, are built. They didn't happen by accident. They require effort, which means you're going to have some struggle.
Thank you for listening to the Tom Matt Show, everybody. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks to Doug Resegui for being my guest. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Thank you again to Sandy, Mitch Anderson, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher. Have a great week, everybody. Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of you. We're out.
That was fun, man. Thank you.
As usual, always good. Let me do this file save thing.
I'll have a different backdrop for the next show. I'll evolve.
Okay. No, thank you for the tip on the on my reads and getting that in front of me.
I could already see it changing because you would look and then you would read. Even if you do that, like from a note card, when you're talking, it doesn't take a lot of eye contact for people to stay connected. It's just if you don't have any, it starts to disconnect people.
Right. No, I get it. And it's an evolutionary thing. And the more I watch YouTube and watch all of these big pros on, it's reps, man. It's exactly what you were saying about reps and just getting better. And, they say 50, 60 videos, and we're at about, I don't even know now, 60, 70 videos on the
Here's the
RFC.
thing. I think you're doing a fantastic job. I love everything you got going. The one thing I'm thinking about is, where are your ways of changing? What are the subtle ways that you do things? So for example, your backdrop today, I can see your backdrop. Part of your backdrop is off the screen. So in the future, do you want it in the screen? Do you want to change the color? You know, change it up just a little bit so that people always see that you're evolving, you know, and it's the little stuff.
Yeah, it is. And it's a good point. And really, I want to get back to, we put new drapes up in the studio in Lansing so that I can just have my lighting and not even worry about a backdrop. It's like, because the virtual backdrop is cool.
Well, remember this, if you do your studio and you do it right, you take a picture of your studio from your chair without you in it. Cause I don't know if you ever caught this. Lindy Way's thing at her house has a picture of her, and then she sits in front of it. So if she does this, you never see something under her arm, because what moves is actually the actual stuff behind her. I don't know if you thought about that. So take a picture from your screen, like just screen capture it, and then you sit in front of it, but that's your backdrop, is what's behind you. So then there's never a fade, like how my shoulder goes away or whatever. You automatically see the same stuff all the time.
Interesting. See, that's a good tip, man. That's greatness. Perfect. All right. Right on, brother. Thank you. Love you, man. Your greatness.
Absolutely. When you guys get back, I'm going to be going to the UP on a fishing trip, the 10th through the 17th. I don't know if I told you this, but I doubled down on my education. I just took off the next 16 Mondays or 16 Fridays. So, I'm writing on my dissertation. I'm going to need accountability. So if you haven't heard from me, check on me, like, hey dude, how's your writing coming?
Let's get lunch. We'll be back next Tuesday. So if you're around next week, if you want to get lunch on Friday, next Friday, a week from Friday.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh, wait, you're already starting your dissertation stuff on Friday.
I'm already on it, but I need to be able to have a break, so I could do lunch on Friday. I'm just saying, I'm not on campus by nature Friday, so we don't have to meet on campus.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, Brody's my spot, but we could meet somewhere. We could meet somewhere between here and there for sure.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I'm trying, when I'm not on campus, to not be on campus, because I'm trying to follow my own rules. Like, I need to distance myself from that place sometimes, just to give myself distance and keep my brain in that space. Yep. So
no, you're right. You gotta, when you compartmentalize that stuff, then it makes everything, I don't know, more of a chunking ability where you could say, well,
I can stay focused better, you know. So for me, I would rather go away from campus. I mean, I don't care if we go to Frandor. I mean, you know, whatever's easy for you guys. I can, but I'm just trying not to go on campus proper, because then it just slows me down. But all right, man.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Talk to you.
Hey, man. Bye now.
See ya.
See, Doug Resseguy is just a great resource for me, because he helps me so much. He'll always say, you know, it's all about, it's not about me. It's about you guys, and it's about him. And it's about the guests, and it's about the listeners. I just facilitate this bad boy and try to share some wisdom and some love and do that thing. And so Doug has been a great friend, but he's so darn smart. Love the guy so much. Can't tell you. So another one in the books, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, watching, doing whatever. Check out at the RFZ. There's all kinds of fun stuff there. My hashtag dad talks are doing kind of well over there. And of course, messages to our younger selves and all the other stuff. Dave DeMarco's Mad Dog Minutes. We got Angela Joseph is coming. We got more people coming to the YouTube space, because that's why I created all that. I want to do the heavy lifting and then facilitate it so it's easy for you. All right. Other than that, have a great day, everybody. Love you so much. Peace out.